Sublimation ink can be a bit confusing, especially as beginners. So today I'm going to break down everything you need to know about sublimation ink, what it is, how it's used, and why it is so important. I'll even give you the brand that I specifically use, plus an entire rundown of how to fill up your tanks and adjust your printer. If you're ready, make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our upcoming content. 2025 is your year to succeed. Okay, let's jump right into it. Sublimation is an ink dye transfer, which means it goes from a gas to a solid state without liquidization. I'm not claiming to be a scientist, so let me try to explain this simply. Basically, it is an ink that transfers into a fabric. The fabric does have to be polyester. It only adheres to polyester. And if you've been researching sublimation, I'm sure you've heard that a million times now. There are a lot of benefits to utilizing sublimation ink. They are high quality, they last for a very, very long time, there is limited fading, and you can get a lot of detail in your projects. The only real downside with sublimation is it does only adhere to polyester fibers, but there is always a workaround. There are many different brands on the market. I can think of 5 off of the top of my head, and I've used about 5 different ones, but there is one that I absolutely love, and that brand is Hippo. I purchase it on Amazon with 2-day prime shipping, so that is a huge plus. I've found over the years that they give me the most bold and crisp colors, especially when I'm utilizing high quality print settings. Fast forward to getting our ink in the mail. You will notice the box comes with black, red, blue, and yellow. Only 4 colors. You may notice that white is not included. That is because sublimation does not print white ink, which is why it has to be on a light colored base, because whatever material you are placing your transfer onto becomes the base color of that transfer. Each bottle will correspond with one of your ink tanks. You want to make sure that we are never mixing and matching. If these get into each other's lines, it's going to cause a huge headache. Within each brand, there are a few different bottles that you can purchase. This is the compatible unit where you click it right onto your ink tank and it automatically fills. This leaves you with virtually no mess, and it is super time effective. But if you're looking to save just a couple dollars, you also have the manual method. When sublimation first came out, this was the only method, and I made a lot of messes with these. I ended up wasting a lot of ink. I do still have some laying around, but honestly, I would just spend a couple extra dollars and get the comfort of using the adjustable tips, because really, I think there's only like a $3 to $4 difference here. One thing to note, I don't have too many of these laying around. So as you can see, this has black ink on it. We wouldn't necessarily want to use this for this one. They do come with 4 different syringe tips, so make sure you are utilizing the ones that are for each color. Anyways, just for a general overview, you would basically stick this in here, plunge out the ink, and then put it into your ink tank. As you can see, that's not very time effective, and honestly, I wasted a lot of ink spilling and getting this all over the place. It's kind of more of a headache than it solves. I would like to add, no matter which unit you purchase, the ink is still going to be the same. Side note, all of the products and resources that I am covering in today's video are listed down below in the description box with easy to find links, so you don't have to search the internet. Okay, back to our regular program. I will be working with an Epson 2720 Eco Tank, but this is going to be the same for all Eco Tanks. As you can see here, an eco tank means that you manually fill each of your ink tanks. Personally, I never allow my ink to get below half tank, but you definitely do not want it to get below 1/3 tank, or this is going to cause air in the lines, which becomes a huge headache. Over time, you will find a routine in maintenance that works best for you. However, this seems to have worked best for me, and I never get air in my lines. You will notice each tank is depicted with an image of the desired color: black, yellow, red, and blue. Make sure that you double check the ink you are putting into the tank is the ink that is required for that tank. I will be showing you both methods, both the compatible bottles and the manual fill. We will start with the compatible bottles, and for me, this is an absolute must. They are super easy, very effective, and I do not get splatters all over this printer like I used to. Basically, this is plug and play. You will snap these bottles onto the nozzle. You will then hear a little bit of air bubble gurgling, and that is exactly what you are looking for. It is going to automatically fill your tank for you. Once you no longer hear the gurgling sound, double check your ink tanks and ensure that it is completely full. If it looks like there is a little bit more room, take off the bottle and then snap it back on. Sometimes it just needs to be readjusted. Once it is complete, you will finish this up for the remainder of the colors. This entire process should only take you between 5 to 10 minutes depending on how empty your ink tanks are. Additionally, these bottles are compatible with almost every Epson EcoTank printer. In the description box below, I have provided the link to the specific ink, and you will see a list of all of the printers that it is compatible with. You can head over there and check out to see if your printer is going to work with those compatible bottles. Okay, now on to the manual method. I promised I would show you, but I'm telling you, this is my least favorite way. Basically, you are going to take your ink bottle and your plunger, making sure that your plunger coincides with the color that it is working with. One thing to note, the tip is going to fall off, so you do have to kindly secure it onto the actual syringe while taking off that plastic cover. Then you will secure it into your ink bottle. This does create a little bit of a suction here, so ensure that you are fully pressing this into the bottle. At this point, you will remove the ink and fill up your syringe. Sometimes you have to wiggle around the syringe on the inside to get any of the ink, especially when the bottle is below halfway full. Because I've made this mistake 100 times, take this out very gently. Like I said, there is a suction, and if you pull this out, it is going to cause splatter all over the place, and this black ink is super hard to get off. Insert your syringe into the fill tank. You will notice it is split by a plastic piece. It does not matter which side you apply, it is going to the same section. That is only there for the compatible bottles. Insert your ink gently. If you use too much force, you can burst a line or even overflow your tank. You also need to keep an eye on the level of your ink tank because this is not going to indicate when it is full. It will overflow and then it causes a huge mess. So I like to take my time looking at the ink tank and how much ink I have applied. Then I will wipe off the tip of my syringe before placing it back into that plastic sleeve. And once again, I am going to wipe off the cover of that ink tank. That way I don't have any gunk or dried ink wrapped around my fill tank. This method will take you anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes depending how low your ink tank is. If you are just starting out with no ink in your tanks, each one will take about a bottle to completely fill to the top. We just have one last step to complete, and that is talking to our printer to let it know that our ink levels are now full. Going into our maintenance tab, we are going to click to the right 3 or 4 different times. Then you will come across ink level reset. When you click in, it will leave you with a few different reminders. You can choose to start this step at the beginning of the process, then filling your tanks, and then coming back for completion. I think it's much easier to just finish this at the end so that there are no mistakes over missed. Once you are into the actual screen, you will see black, red, yellow, and blue boxes. Each of these can be checked. Personally, I only ever fill all of my ink at one time, but let's say that you used all of the blue on one project, and that ink tank was much lower than any of the other ones. So you were only filling up the blue tank. You would only go in and click the box that you were filling and then reset. The reset is basically automatic and does not take your printer any additional time. It truly is just that simple. Now that all the hard stuff is out of the way, let's talk about a couple tips to make sure that you are getting the best quality prints and longest use out of your printer. Tip number 1, do not let any of your colors get below 1/4 tank full. If so, this can cause some air in the lines, which is a big headache. You end up having to flush out your lines, waste a lot of ink, and a lot of paper. Secondly, use high quality inks. Don't try to find the cheapest thing on the market. Your ink is the star of the show. So make sure you are utilizing something that is going to impress. To tail off onto that, make sure you are also using high quality print settings. I know so many of us think that standard print settings are working, but it's only because you've had nothing to compare it to. As soon as you adjust to high quality print settings, it is going to look like those images are flying off of your t-shirt, and that is what's going to be eye-catching and get you continued purchases. And the last tip, make sure that you are always having fun with sublimation. Don't get too serious and don't be afraid to ask questions. I know a lot of us as creators want to know everything. Believe me, I thought I did at one point too. And 4 years later, I'm still realizing I don't know everything and I'm probably never going to. But you are now included into this beautiful community of like-minded creators who are here to help each other on the journey. My name is Kaylee, and I am very grateful that you have joined us on today's tutorial. I hope that I have given you all of the courage, confidence, and knowledge to start printing, utilize your ink, and understand exactly where you can take your sublimation journey. One last thing, if you are a brand new beginner, I know there are so many questions and it is like impossible to figure out where to start. I have taken all of my knowledge over the past 4 years and put it into one book just for you. It is easy to read, 45 pages, 6 chapters, and at the end, it does give you a list of every single link and resource that has been in the book. You have unlimited access to everything that you need to succeed with the sublimation journey. And I promise, I am always here to answer any of your questions. I am super active in the chat below, so make sure you leave a comment, let me know how you like this video, and always feel free to request on the next. Anyways, I hope you guys have the best week. Let me know what you'll be creating.